I love the fact that we're constantly getting updates to Warframe. That means new Warframes, new zones, new weapons. But it also means that older weapons are kind of forgotten and left by the roadside, never to be played again or played very rarely. Today, my friends, I want to show you an old school king that is still being played today. And of course, I'm talking about the Akstiletto Prime. I got a cheap setup, something affordable that more casual tenno can get into, but rest assured my friends, we also got the endgame setup with Prime mods, Galvanized mods, we're gonna be taking it to Steel Path, basically the works. That said though, please bear in mind that my building guides usually take a more new player friendly tone, simply because I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, you can either skip ahead or have a bit of patience. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Akstiletto Prime. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that, just a couple of our regular free shots. The Akstiletto Primes are a pair of automatic secondary weapons with a hit scan attack. Now the usability on these is pretty good. The recoil is there, it's nothing too horrible. Take a look at the standard 15-meter test. You will notice two things. One, some of the bullets are landing slightly outside the crosshairs. There is a bit of a climbing recoil to this one, and it does have a bit of a jiggle, but nothing too horrible, nothing that in my opinion you would need to mod for. Now the reload on this puppy, fantastic animation, and it's also clocked at 1.1 seconds. Boom, done, ready to fire again. Absolutely fantastic, and the base fire rate is not horrible either. Now let's have a closer look at stats to see exactly what we're dealing with. Mod capacity is gonna be 60 out of 60. If yours comes with a measly 30 out of 30, you jump into actions and you plug in the Auto Catalyst. This will double your mod capacity going to 60. Is it worth it? And the answer to this depends on which side of the argument you're on. If you're looking for the most OP meta secondary weapon, this is simply not it. But if you're looking for a good automatic secondary with a hit scan attack, you're gonna be loving your time with this one. My weapon has been formatted a total of 5 times. Do you need 5 format for the build? Hell no! 2 to 3 format should be more than enough. I over format simply because I need to test all sorts of mod combinations. So don't worry about it. 2 to 3 format, this is definitely not a format heavy weapon. The XLS slot, you can actually leave the lock. You can go for something like steady hands. It would improve the weapon. As you saw there, it does jiggle a little bit, but nothing you can't handle. In my opinion, I would leave this one locked and save myself the resources or the adapter. As for the arcane slot, you gotta unlock this one. This is simply flat power. Secondary deadhead is only to be used for raw strength approaches. For example, if you guys want to build something like corrosive heat. Considering the base damage on the weapon, I wouldn't really go for it, but it is doable if that's your cup of tea. If not, for everybody else, for the quote-unquote meta setup, secondary merciless is gonna be the way to go. You wanna use it in tandem with your melee, then go with dexterity. Accuracy 23.5, you saw in action what that means. Fire rate of 7, which is not bad. Magazine of 40, which is not bad. Reload of 1.1, beautiful, noise alarming of course. And a Riven disposition of 2 out of 5. When this one came up for revisiting, I was honestly surprised simply because I expected it to be 4 or 5 or something like that. This is still a fairly popular weapon. With a Riven dispo 2 out of 5, it is worth going for Rivens. Just make sure you get a decent roll and you don't overpay. Trigger automatic, critical chance 15%, 2.0 critical multiplier. The multiplier is fine, the base critical chance is a tad on the low side, and status chance very good at 30%. Most of the damage is gonna be impact, but more on that later. In the meantime, let's have a look at a standard setup, something casually. Damage with Hornet Strike, multi-shot with Battle Diffusion, as well as Lethal Torrent. We got critical chance and critical damage through the use of Creeping Bullseye and Target Cracker. Target Cracker is still super underwhelming, this should be at least 80%, but what can you do? If you got the Prime version of Target Cracker, 100% go for that one. I think it's pointless for me to say something like, hey, you got Prime, go for Prime. That should be self-explained by this point. Pistol Pestilence and Frostbite will be making viral on the weapon, and we also have Carnage Stinger. I would go with this one because it increases the number of slashes you get on the target. And if you wanna kill stuff in this meta, at least with this weapon, you're gonna have to go for some Miami slash. So slash and status chance. Another option is to go with Hemorrhage. You're gonna say, hey, Hemorrhage, because this one generates a lot of impact procs, and you are correct, it does, but it's still better to go with Carnage Stinger. If the fire rate was below 2.5, then we could talk about Hemorrhage, but the thing is, why would you even try to get your fire rate that low on an automatic secondary weapon? It's simply not all that smart. Another thing that should be mentioned is the fact that you can stack Hemorrhage together with Carnage Stinger. If you do that, however, you gotta bear in mind a couple of things. First of all, when it comes to Hemorrhage, you cannot produce multiple procs in a single instance of damage alongside any other slash sources, such as the weapon's innate slash value, okay, which is why we're using Carnage Stinger. Also, if you got Creeping Bullseye on and no Lethal Torrent, the fire rate goes to 5.6, which makes the weapon a whole lot more sluggish. It is an option if you want more slash procs on your target. You will have a significant larger number of slash procs on your target with Hemorrhage and Carnage Stinger together, because there are a significant number of damage instances which are not currently generating a slash proc on your target. Why do I keep saying this? Because, well, it could have slashed a little bit more. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. As you can see, the usual test for a slash build: hit a target at about 50%, then watch if the slashes actually kill your target. I got, what is that, 19, 18, 19, something like that on the target, completely annihilating level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goon. Is this good performance for a 2020 weapon? Nope, not really. First of all, this is single target. How can I overcome the single target part? It's simple. You can build something like Punch Through, but that's only situational at best, and it's not true AoE. It's like building gas on a single target weapon and saying, hey, it deals AoE damage. No, not like that. If you want a single target, automatic pair of secondary pistols, this is not bad. Is it meta? No, but we can make it hurt a whole lot more than this. And this concludes the casual player part of the build. If you're just starting out with the weapon because you love it, because it's awesome, because it's flavorful, you're looking at something like this. Now, if you already got all the max mods, I'm talking about Galvanized mods, Prime mods, etc., you're looking at a build like this. Of course, we're going to be using Galvanized Diffusion instead of the normal version and Galvanized Shot. As for a faction mod, you can use a faction mod. It adds a lot of power to the weapon, but I can't stand these bloody things. And if you're like me, and if you cannot stand these bloody things, you simply go with Lethal Torrent instead, okay? So you replace Prime Expel with Lethal Torrent. If I'm gonna search Lethal Torrent now, multi. Look at that fire rate. It goes to 11.3. Not bad, not bad. Of course, Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker. If you don't have Prime Pistol Gambit with a 187% critical chance, feel free to go for Creeping Bullseye. Creeping Bullseye, however, will be reducing your fire rate to about 5.5, especially now that we're not using Lethal Torrent on the build. That's gonna hurt you. So I would go Prime Pistol Gambit instead of Creeping Bullseye in this case. And of course, Prime Target Cracker is mandatory for a crit build. And we also got the Arcane Primary Merciless. We're gonna be respawning the same level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons as per usual. Nowadays, you hear a whole lot of people saying stuff like flat damage is bad, no flat damage on builds, and that is 100% false. Flat damage is still the way to go when it comes to, I don't know, 98, 99% of content in Warframe. Flat damage will increase your clear speed or decrease your clear time, depending on how you want to look at it, or increase your KPS. Go for flat damage for the vast majority of content. Oh sure, if you're going for super high level content, I'm talking in the thousands, 5,000, 9,000, whatever else, it doesn't really matter. You might want to drop most of it because there are many sources of flat damage in Warframe. These builds are at the top of their game when they can access most of the multipliers, if not all of the multipliers. That's where this whole flat damage is bad thing stems from. But removing all the flat damage on your weapon can have dire consequences, such as, even though this build is a whole lot more powerful than what we tested earlier, until I get a stack or two, this is nothing but painful. Get a stack, at least a stack, one stack, that's it, and the weapon becomes a whole lot more powerful than before. 2 stacks and it starts to chump your enemies and gets progressively stronger and stronger. But you need that flat damage multiplier. And you know what? Not a little, a lot of it, if at all possible. At least 2 sources, from my point of view, on any build would be ideal. Now with a couple of stacks, take a look at it. Night and day difference. It simply chomps through targets, both proc-wise and damage-wise, without any issue whatsoever. But how does this one perform in actual Steel Path gameplay? Welcome to the Void, my friends. Now, I got Revenant, which helps out with survivability and crowd control, and I also got the Panzerwulpe. Well, she's here. Oh yeah, she's dead. Up there, I got the Panzerwulpe Phyla with me, which will be helping me out with vital procs. You gotta bear in mind that the Panzerwulpe Phyla vital procs are anything but consistent, however, and you might not get the procs when you want them. As you can see, I have no problem in tearing through a Corrupted Heavy Goon level 130 in Steel Path. The weapon is full enough. This is not a meta weapon. I thought that was clear by this point, but that doesn't mean it can't chomp through targets. You want a clear steel path with the Axomari or the but as Akstiletto Prime, you will have no problem whatsoever. Granted, you won't be super quick, but not everything needs to be super quick, gentlemen. As for Warframe buffs, normally this is when I go with Lady Mirage Prime because, well, she simply offers the biggest buffs, if you know what I mean. But in this case, I think we're gonna go with Harrow. I missed Harrow. Haven't played Harrow in a long while, so we're gonna go like so. Corrosive Projection against heavily armored targets. This is not a mandatory mod, however, if your build calls for whatever aura you need, simply go for the aura of your choosing. Keep in mind that arcanes are a whole lot more impactful. I usually recommend one arcane for your Warframe build if it doesn't require two, and one for the weapon. In this case, we can get some flat damage with arcane precision, 300%, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Go for headshots, and Arcane Avenger R5. Both of these will be farmed from the third Eidolon down on Cetus, and if Eidolon hunting is too boring or not fun for you, or simply don't care about it, you can trade these in the trade chat. This one gets you 45% critical chance for 12 seconds, bonus additive after, stacking on top of what you already have. And you might say, hey, Arcane Avenger with Harrow, isn't that counterintuitive? Nuh-uh, because Harrow gives you 200% on headshot from my weapon. I got an additional, what is that one? My critical, only 43%. Okay, so 243 and another 45 from Arcane Avenger. That goes to 288% if I didn't screw up the math on the fly. So we're gonna go like so. No need for a Sentinel, this is a secondary weapon, so we're gonna go with the Panzer Vulpaphyla. And hopefully she will give viral procs. Sometimes. We're gonna be on Posy the eye so they can hit me. And we're gonna bump up the level to 165. Harrow is a beautiful frame. I know it's hard to farm the normal version, but just go for the Prime. You gotta play yourself some Harrow. He's an outstanding support. The offensive frame, I want to say. Press your Convenant. Be impeccable. Be absolutely fantastic with your timing. Save your entire team. Receive no thanks. His second ability will use that one as well. Fire rate as well as reload speed. Keep in mind that you're only getting the full crit chance when the buff is fully stacked, like now. And you want to go for headshots. Beauty flare, headshots, my friends. They're red. And yes, I am now stacking. If I do one shot in that guy, he died. Look at that, 24 fouls. That was a single bullet out of my Akstiletto Primes. Of course, that's not how you Akstiletto Prime. This is how you Akstiletto Prime. What's left of them? My friends, is this a meta weapon? Is this a weapon you must have in your arsenal because it's so powerful, bro, and I want to clear everything in a single shot? No, that's not it. You want that? Is that what you want? Is that what you want? You want meta secondary weapon? Look at the cards right now. Trust me, you will love it. This is not a meta weapon. This is a former king of secondary weapons, if you will. And from my humble point of view, it's still definitely worth playing today. As long as you don't have too high expectations in what sense. This is not AoE. You can build AoE with a little bit of punch through, but again, it's not true AoE. It's like building gas on a single target weapon and calling it AoE. Okay, that's not really AoE. It's still one hell of a weapon, one that I recommend and enjoy to this day. As always, my name has been Laser. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And there is also a Discord community. You know where to find the links. And if you love the content and you want to help me keep making them, consider supporting us via Patreon. Could really use the help. Link in the cards right now. But until next time, my friends. Wish I could find this animation faster. Where the hell is it? Bye-bye.